The final season has finally arrived, and much like me, when it comes to my ability to talk to women, I have absolutely no idea how it's going to go down. We saw a lot happen this year, from the overly sensational cut down on tackling technique to the downfall of the mighty Brisbane Broncos. And unfortunately, for all rugby league fans, we still had to watch Taane Milne play. I'm just kidding, Milne. We actually forget you exist. 27 rounds and 8 teams remain. The last final spot was secured by Newcastle on the final game of the round, downing the Dolphins 14-6 in front of a large number of Newcastle fans. Newcastle fans, don't go off at me. It's not that I hate Newcastle. I just really dislike you. They take on the 5th place Cowboys in an elimination final this week, in what is sure to be a thriller. The other elimination final is set to be a thriller as well, as both the Bulldogs and Manly have turned it on at times this year. The Storm, once again, have spent the majority of the season atop the NRL equivalent of Mount Olympus, winning their first minor premiership since 2021, and pissing off the rugby league community as we now enter a 12th straight season where the minor premiership has been won by either the Roosters, Panthers or Storm. The Storm will face an unpredictable Sharks team in Melbourne, as Cronulla, once again, fraud themselves into the top 4. Rounding out the 2 and 3 spots are Rugby League's Chicago Bulls, Penrith, and the Roosters, who have turned a lot of heads this year with their sensational brand of football. I'll be doing a week-by-week prediction of these finals as we go along, but here's how I think week 1 will go down. The minor premiers surge into this match as heavy favourites. And why wouldn't they be? They've pieced together one of the most informed spines in the competition, and every player in that team is playing their role perfectly. The standout player for me has been Jerome Hughes, who's taken his game to another level this year, carving it up in the number 7 jersey. His strong performances even have him as heavy favourite to take out the Dally M at the end of the year. And that's not to take away from the other players in the star-studded squad. Eliesa Katoa has been a brilliant outside back, scoring tries and placing himself in just the right places at the right time. Nick Meaney has been a reliable centre and goal kicker, and while Pappenhausen has faced a substantial amount of time off from injury, can always be called upon to stand up when needed. Harry Grant is proving to be the modern day standard of a world-class hooker, and Tyron Wishart has levelled his game up immensely, shifting in to replace Cameron Munster, who missed a huge portion of the season through injury. And I'm saying all this without even mentioning Sua Fa'alongo, who will undoubtedly be one of the best players in our competition in the next few years. The Storm sits second for most points scored, with 692, and lead the way in line breaks with 158. In stark contrast, the Sharks have found themselves to be solely reliant on early momentum to see themselves through the full 80. We've seen how slow starts dictate their mediocrity, but they also harbour a strong attacking force. They've scored 107 tries, with Ronaldo Mulitalo leading the tally with 15. Now, their potency is usually showcased through that left edge attack, Will Kennedy being able to work quick off the patented set plays to put his winger or centre in. Speaking of centres, Jesse Ramian has had a pretty decent year, despite some attacking and discipline hiccups. His defensive performances early on in the year are a big standout as to why the Sharks now sit in the top 4. To me, it's the inconsistency that holds them back. At times, we've seen that explosive potential, but you never know what Sharks you're going to get on the day. These two met in round 10, when the Sharks upset the Storm 25-18, without Nico Hines. And yes, his name is obviously going to be thrown around a lot. I've spent a lot of time talking about Nico Hines, so if you want to hear a bit more of an in-depth analysis, go check out the video I made about him. It's okay. These two teams have a bit of finals history too, facing off in the 2008 prelim, which the Storm comfortably won, and of course, their most infamous meeting, the 2016 Grand Final, where Cronulla won 14-12. Storm fans still probably have nightmares of Andrew Fafita to this day. Glorious. The last time these two met in a finals game was the 2018 prelim final, where the Storm beat the Sharks 22-6, with Billy Slater making a completely legal tackle. In all likelihood, the Storm will continue their dominant ways, washing the Sharks and looking settled on making their 11th grand final. If the Sharks are to mount an upset, it's to hit the minor premiers hard from the start and shut down key attacking threats in Munster, Hughes and Pappenhausen. I'm going for the Storm to win this one, 24-14. No team in the NRL generates more social revenue than the Penrith Panthers. Having won the last 3 premierships, they look to do something no team has done since the 1960s, win 4 consecutive titles. The Panthers will want to make the most out of this finals race, as it's the last time we'll see that Cleary-Luai combination at club level, unless Cleary decides to ruin his career. Those two have such history backed up together, and no doubt they want to make the most of their last ride in together. Despite the absence of Cleary for most of the year, Penrith have stepped up to deliver in big moments, defensively and offensively. Dylan Edwards, in my opinion, is the best fullback in the competition at the moment, and has a case to be one of the best overall players in our game. Combine that with Isaiah Yeo, who's had one of his most outstanding individual seasons, and a forward pack who seldom make mistakes, this will be a real challenge for the Roosters, as they haven't beaten Panthers since 2019. That is 10 straight matches. The Roosters, on the other hand, were unlucky not even to get a home final. Doubts were placed on those guys early in the year after some pretty poor showings against Manly and Canterbury, but they've been so consistent at working together as a team whilst also showcasing their individual potential. Connor Watson has been outstanding this year as their reliable bench utility, and Angus Crichton has turned his career around, evolving into one of the game's most damaging back rowers. And I feel like I'm repeating myself again, but I'm saying this all without mentioning players like James Tedesco, who was a smoky to win the Dally M, Sam Walker, who has used his diminutive stature to his advantage, deceiving opponents with his pinpoint accuracy kicking game, and wingers Dom Young and Daniel Tupou, who have scored a combined 40 tries for the Tricolours. The Roosters lead the way in tries scored with 130, and points scored with 738. But the glaring issue coming into the final series is their defensive issues, as they've conceded 30 plus points on 4 separate occasions this year. We saw them fall asleep at times in games against Manly and Souths, when they could have easily wrapped those games up by a much bigger margin. Nevertheless, they are a dangerous final side when given the opportunity to shine. The last time these two met was in round 4, where the Panthers won 22-16 in a pretty close encounter. Head-to-head in finals, they've only faced each other a handful of times since the 03 decider. These being in the 2010 semi-final, where the Roosters won 34-12, the 2014 qualifying final, where Penrith won 19-18, and the 2020 qualifying final, where the Panthers also won that game 29-28. Personally, with the depleted squad the Roosters have right now, I don't see them getting past this one. No Sam Walker to guide them, no Cheese for the X Factor and finals experience, and no Radley for... Well, okay, maybe the Radley thing might be good. This all hinges on the fitness of Nathan Cleary for Penrith, who are hoping he remains fit and firing for the final series. I'm going for a Penrith win, 20-12. It all hinged on the final few games to see who would get a home final and who would actually make the 8. The Knights got the latter with their triumphant win over the Dolphins, but the Cows will be yielding such confidence after dismantling the Dogs to secure a home elimination final. Now, the Cowboys have been a bit of a purple patch team this year, dominating games at times, but letting the small errors cost them at key moments. Statistically, the Cowboys have made the second most number of errors by any NRL team, sitting just behind the Broncos with 274. I just can't go a single video without mentioning how shit the Broncos have been. I'm very sorry. The Cowboys also sit third in terms of running meters. Scott Drinkwater is leading the way with 441s and 3,808 total running meters. The key to their success, though, will surely sit on the game of 5'8" Tom Dearden, who has easily had his best year in the NRL. Dearden is the epitome of a big game player, and his energy has almost seemed to rub off on the rest of the team. When he's on, the Cowboys are on. The lethal right edge is their best quality of the Cows, as Jeremiah Nanai and Kyle Felt have run rampant. Even at 32 years of age, Felty is still racking up an impressive amount of tries, with 22 to his name this year, and will in all likelihood finish off the season as leading try scorer. The Knights, on the other hand, have branded themselves as dark horses, purely on the fact that when Kalen Ponga is playing, they are the most unpredictable team in the competition. It's remarkable they've actually made finals, as their inconsistency in sticking with a set halves pairing should have absolutely derailed them. But when Newcastle have got it right, it's due to their incredible work ethic and commitment to defense. Greg Marzhew sits 5th place for post-contact meters and is the only winger other than Brian To'o to sit in that top 5 spot. Jaden Brayley has had a pretty decent year too, so you can never discount his defensive capabilities and proactive ruck speed. The Knights have a huge task ahead of them here, but if they are going to shut down this dangerous Cowboys side, it'll be through that strong defensive mindset. Throw Kalen Ponga into the mix and you never know what could happen. These two teams have actually never played each other in a finals match, so this will be a bit of history in the making. The two teams faced off in round 2 this year, with the Cowboys winning a close one, 21-20, courtesy of a Chad Townsend field goal. Also, can I just say, justice for Chad. You don't deserve what they did to you, sweetheart. I think the Cowboys will be too strong at home, as they've got a great record up in Townsville. The first half will be an error fest, but I think the Cowboys will blow the Knights out of the water with a second half clinic, eventually winning 30-10. The fixture I was really dreading talking about. Yeah, it's no surprise I might sway a little towards the Silvertails, but I'm pretty proud to stick up for my team, and also quick to scrutinise when things go wrong. Trent Barrett. I'll start with the Bulldogs first. What a turnaround it's been for the Doggies this year. 15th to 6th is incredible, given the club pretty much insisted on a full systemic rebuild. The Bulldogs have turned a lot of heads this year, with their exciting all-out attack philosophy. Cameron Ciraldo is my coach of the year for me, as he has strung such a brilliant system of players together. Matt Burton is becoming the best 5'8" in the world, and Viliami Kikau is finding a new purpose to his game. You can take the boys out of Penrith, but you can't take Penrith out of the boys. I think we were all a little skeptical of the Dogs this year, as we hadn't really seen any potential become a reality yet, but we're starting to see what hard work and commitment gets you. Stats-wise, Bulldogs sit first in supports and charge downs, highlighting that strong work ethic. But on the flip side, have missed the most amount of tackles out of any team this season with 931. I swear 930 of those were made last week against the Cowboys. Regardless, they are still one of the best defensive teams in the competition. And when they're on, it's really hard to get through them. The two Jacobs are my guys to watch this week, as Carraz leads the NRL with total runs and run meters, and Preston has absolutely been a menace down that right-hand side. That's some Belrose Eagle dominance right there. Love you, Presso. Don't discount part-time mattress salesman Connor Tracy either, who has made the second most runs in the NRL behind Carraz. He really does look like a mattress salesman. I'm sorry, Connor.
I've just realised going back and editing that I completely forgot to mention Stephen Crichton. He's only been like their best fucking player this year.
Manly have also been a bit of a purple patch team this year, much like North Queensland, but have the ability to blow teams out of the park early. The lethality of Hopewadi, Turbo, Kula, DCE, Brooks, Olakawatu, Talau, and Garrick is enough to scare the shit out of any team. But there is a huge issue, and it presents itself in defense. On 5 separate occasions, Manly have thrown away 16-point leads and gone on to lose the game. If those leads had been kept, Manly would be sitting pretty comfortably in a qualifier right now. I'm not crying, you're crying. But there's no ifs in rugby league, and these lapses in concentration have certainly cost them a higher spot in the ladder. Manly also threw away a great opportunity to get themselves in a home final when they lost to the Sharks 40-20 on the final match day at Brookvale. So now we got to go to Accor in front of 50,000 Bulldogs fans. I will be calling for my mummy after full time. I've been very critical of Manly in this preview, so I will give them some positives. Luke Brooks is playing out of his skin in the maroon and white, complementing DCE superbly in the number 6 jersey. Tom Trbojevic, when fit, is a huge key to Manly's success, as he's racked up an impressive 17 tries and 17 try assists in 18 games. Can you get insurance on hamstrings? Not 2021 type stats, but still incredible nonetheless. I gotta stop bringing up 2021. Fuck! These two teams have some interesting finals history. They met in the 1995 decider, won by the Bulldogs, and a handful of times during the 2010s. Their most notable meeting was in the 2014 semi-final, where a Trent Hodgkinson field goal in extra time absolutely ripped the soul out of my body.
Hodgkinson, he's got it! They've got the kick! They've got the game!
Now, the Bulldogs' last finals appearance was in 2016, so no doubt they'll be inexperienced and a little rusty, but I think they'll embrace the pressure in pure Bulldogs form by going out there and hitting Manly hard from the get-go. These two last faced off in round 26 this year, where Manly ambushed the Bulldogs to send a strong message, winning 34-22 at Accor. This one I think will go down to the wire, but I see the Bulldogs pulling through 19-18. So there we go. These are my predictions for week 1. Let me know what you think will happen by leaving a comment below, and I may or may not leave you a prize. I won't. Thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and a sub, and also catch up on the latest news and rugby league content on our Instagram. Until next time, see ya.